This February 12th, 2024 regular meeting at 7:01 p.m. Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes. Mr. George.
Here.
Ms. Green.
Here.
Mrs. Talley.
Here.
Mr. Twist.
Here.
Now we will all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are not.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Twist and Ms. Barnes. Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Twist.
Here.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
You are here. Mr. George.
Yes.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mrs. Talley.
Yes, motion carries. We will be moving into our presentations. First up, we will welcome our Student Business Professionals of America.
Hi, I am Deb Fink. I'm the Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning. Mr. King and Mrs. Tomczyk, who oversee the Business Professionals of America, were not able to be here tonight, so they asked me if I would take over and introduce these students who competed at the regional BPA competition that we actually held back in January at the high school. Just to let you know, BPA is our Business and Cisco Pathway CTSO, which is a career tech student organization, which is a requirement of any career tech pathway that you have to have a student organization that goes along with it. So we are a BPA member. These students competed at the regional level, and they are advancing to compete at the State Leadership Conference in March. Those who move on from there will be able to compete in the National Leadership Conference in Chicago in May. And we have had students in the past that have made it to the national level, so we're excited, and we have high hopes for this year as well. So not everybody who is moving on to state was able to be here tonight, but we do have these 5 students who were able to make it. Mrs. Hunt, do you want me to introduce them first and then?
As you introduce them, if they're here, I will give them.
Okay, so why don't we do that? All right, so first is Meredith Avery. She got first in the region for a prepared speech competition. Okay, the next student, Teja Kumba, is not here, but he got first in the region for interview skills. Also, Brianna Vo, personal financial management, 3rd in the region. Jonathan Redman, economic research individual, 1st in the region. Tyler Dalton, banking and finance, 2nd in the region. Next, we have James Delator, who is here, who got 1st in the region for the server admin using Microsoft. Next, also here, Cesar Cortina, who got 4th in the region for network administration using Cisco. Our next student is not here, but Nicholas Lush, network administration using Cisco, 3rd in the region. Our next student is here, Nathan Hagan, Linux operations, 1st in the region. Our next few students were not able to be here, but Caleb Littman, economic research team, 1st in the region. Carter Morrell, economic research team, 1st in the region. Travis Tuttle, economic research team, 1st in the region. And then Drew Webb, who is with us tonight, economic research team, 1st in the region. And then just a few more students who also qualified: Deepan Chetri, small business management team, 1st in the region. AJ Dahl, small business management team, 1st in the region. And Angel Cotwall, small business management team, 1st in the region. So. Thank you and best of luck. When is your competition? March 9th. So good luck. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you all. Next, we will move into our Knocked Your Socks Off staff recognition.
Thank you very much. We did move this up in the agenda a little bit. Last meeting, I think it was about an hour and a half in. So I was kind of nudged to move this up. So we do have a few tonight, but we have one person that was able to join us tonight, and that is Miss Brenna Riddle. And yay, Miss Riddle. Miss Riddle was nominated by Melissa Hazelbaker, and Miss Hazelbaker says, "We are fortunate to have Brenna this year for my son Otto's 3rd grade year. Throughout the entire year, it has not gone unnoticed the time, effort, love, patience, and respect she has for every student in her classroom. Brenna works hard to make her classroom a safe and loving one where the kids have fun while learning. Otto has thrived this year, and Brenna is a huge reason his 3rd grade year has been awesome. We appreciate Brenna and all she does for all of her students. Brenna is a wonderful part of the Canal Winchester Local School District. Congratulations, Brenna. Come on up. Grab your socks. Small or medium? Your choice. There you go. If they don't fit, you can leave. Okay. All right. I'm going to get a picture real quick. Ready? Thank you. All right, we have several more. I'm just going to read them quickly, and then I will give them their socks and their certificate during this week. So the next one is Carla Sharp. Carla was nominated by Miss Brooke Hitler. Carla recently completed an intensive course and then passed a credentialing exam to become an official registered behavior technician. She did this on her own time in order to increase her knowledge and skill set for working with students with behavioral challenges. The RBT certification is a nationally recognized paraprofessional certification in behavior analysis. Carla serves as one of our paraprofessionals in our preschool program and does an outstanding job caring for and supporting the learning of the students in her classroom. Congratulations to Carla. Next, we have Mr. Victor Wade, who was nominated by Madison Charnes. Madison says that Victor's work on multiple committees, Student Council, and OMUN has made a significant impact on students' life at Canal Winchester High School. So congratulations to Victor. Next, we have Jenna Roberts. Jenna was nominated by Dana Stubbs. Dana says Jenna goes above and beyond her role as a mental health specialist for our students. She is always willing to stop by and celebrate a student and offer input ideas how to support students in the classroom beyond her sessions with them. Jenna always has been open with communication and willing to discuss students. She provides a safe space for students and staff that are lucky enough to work with her. Jenna also goes above and beyond to support our building counselors in ways her job does not require her to, but because she is a team player. We are so very fortunate for the time our students and staff get with Jenna for her wealth of knowledge and just awesome personality. So congrats to Jenna Roberts. Next, we have Beth Hinshaw, who was nominated by Amanda Caporelli. Amanda says, Beth always goes above and beyond, not only for our students, but also the staff. She takes time out of her day to help others' well-being and be a listening ear. She consistently has run our school's book club to help staff morale, mental health, and professional development. She never fails to be smiling as you see her in the hall to spread cheer and sunshine to all. I could go on and on about all that Beth does for everyone at Indian Trail, but in short, she truly strives to epitomize the district value of empowering students and staff for success. So congratulations to Beth. And last but certainly not least is Danny Morales, who was nominated by me. Mr. Morales goes above and beyond for his students and truly makes a difference in their lives. Recently, a parent of a high school student who works with Mr. Morales reached out to share the tremendous positive impact Mr. Morales has had not just on their child, but their entire family. So congratulations to Danny. So that is all I have, but just one more round of applause for our Knocked Our Socks Off award.
Thank you to all of the recipients. You helped make our district great. Next up, we have the Director of Human Resources to speak about the Canal Winchester Promise and to provide an update.
Good evening. We are going to be talking about the promise and elevating our workforce. Go ahead. Okay. In elevating our workforce, we are trying to create a better experience in our employment cycle. I will share with you the work that we've been doing, and as that work falls in the 4 areas of our CW promise, and we'll go over those 4 areas. The first one is operations. There's one thing that we have worked on this year was the onboarding and the offboarding process for staff. We created an electronic process which gives us more accurate data on all of our staff and categories where the staff falls within. We also worked on a staff audit. We compiled data on all of our schools in our district. We did some comparison work with other districts as well, and we worked with building administration on this process. We had a focus on equity and needs. Our ultimate goal was to have a plan for our future regarding staffing. The next one is culture. We implemented several tactics to improve welcoming, safe, and a supportive culture. One thing that we did was create a staff recognition calendar. For an example, last week you may have seen a post on social media congratulating or appreciating our guidance counselors. So throughout the year, when it's a certain day for whatever role for our staff, and we will recognize them through social media. So that happens throughout the year. We also implemented props to you, and you'll see on your table, there's a little pad, props to you. We started this, it's basically a moment of praise in the moment. Anybody can give it to anybody. We started it with district office, passing it on to district office. Then we went district office, passing on to administrators. We asked administrators to really focus on handing those out to their staff. And now all staff have a little Padlet just like you do, so that in any moment in time, if there's a way to appreciate somebody or give praise to somebody, they can fill out the little props to you and give it to that staff member or put it in the mailbox. For example, I gave several out for going above and beyond with the help of executing our health fair this year to some of our staff members. I also gave some out to those who passed their resident educator test. So that's a test that teachers have to take in year 2 of teaching. So one of those was just like a thank you, praising them. The other one was a congratulations. So it's kind of nice because it has pre-filled in pieces, so you can just XX, write a little message if you want. So the other one is knock your socks off, which you have seen each month that we recognize. That's staff to staff recognition, so anybody can nominate a staff member. And another one is serving breakfast to our staff. We have created a calendar of these events and what we're doing when we go out to the buildings. The district office went to each building and operations center and served breakfast in the wintertime. So all staff got breakfast one day. Just a way to say thank you for all you do to our staff at each building and at the operations center. We also went around to each of the buildings and did a reverse trick or treat. And that was basically us walking around with something healthy, something salty, and something sweet. So each staff member was able to pick a treat out just randomly when we knocked on their door and said, reverse trick or treat, pick a treat, have a great day. So another little appreciation token. Holiday cheer, the district office delivered appreciation gifts during the holidays to all of our staff members. Birthday cards and pins, you'll notice that we gave you a pin. Each staff member on their birthday receive a birthday card signed by all district administrators, as well as a pin that says Canal Winchester. And it's a quality pin, so check it out. It writes very well. And then we also implemented Spirit Days. The most recent one we had was wear your favorite NFL team for the Super Bowl. We also did the same thing for the Ohio State-Michigan game as well. So our next area is recruiting. We reviewed recruiting and hiring practices. We streamlined the interview process with feedback from administration. We aligned college recruiting plan to hire the hiring trends that we see. And what I mean by that is I looked at the data to see where we were hiring most of our fresh out of college teachers. And they came from Ohio State, OU, and Capital. There were some outliers as well, of course. But we really want to align our recruiting to the places that we're actually hiring from. So also, I'm in the process of planning a classified job fair. This addresses some barriers to hiring classified staff. And I'm actually working with other school districts around us. So there's 3 school districts that are coming together to create a classified job fair in June. Relationships with colleges. That's been big this year. We're trying to get our name out there to college students prior to their senior year. We'd like to partner with the colleges in some way or another so that our name is at the forefront of those college students. If we can accomplish this task, then chances are likely that when it's time to come student teaching time, they'll request Canal Winchester local schools because they've heard it, they've seen it, and they've met people from Canal Winchester schools. It also allows us to interview students early. We interviewed I probably interviewed 50 that haven't even graduated from college yet. So that way those students are ready to move on through our process, through our interview process, to go to the buildings when the buildings are ready to make those hires. So we're trying to stay a step ahead on the interviewing process. That way we're not waiting until June and July to hire our staff. Also, with this, having this relationship with our universities, I've been able to meet with groups of students in their education classrooms, either via Zoom or going to the college or meeting in small groups. Also, we've been a part of a panel participant for Otterbein University so that we have a panel of human resources mind as we're having those conversations with them. And then finally, be a judge at the Educator Rising program, which is at Capital University. So that's another touch with a different university. The last area is work life. We're working on internal communications committee. We have representation from each school, and that committee will be meeting towards the end of February. We're really trying to reduce our number of emails that are sent and improving communication practices as a team. Also, the diversity and equity training, we started that last year, and we trained all staff in diversity and equity. We also have created a way to include new staff as they join Canal Winchester as an employee. And then finally, the employee wellness team. That's new and created this year. We have representation from every building and the operations center. One thing that we've done this year, in October, we had a health fair for all staff. We really tried to focus on nutrition, fitness, medical, mental health, and self-care for our staff. We also partnered with local businesses and had over 40 businesses in the gym for our staff to spend time with and get information and learn more about. We've had challenges throughout the year, and when I say challenges, that's in a good way. So we've had a water challenge. So 1 month, staff was encouraged to drink X amount of water and, make it healthier you. Another challenge we had was a step challenge. So they were encouraged to try to get 10,000 steps in a day for the month. Next one is our self-care, which is going to be in March. So throughout the year, we are creating challenges for all of our staff in each building in the operations center, encouraging them to be healthy and take care of themselves because we care about that work-life balance. Does anybody have questions for me?
Thank you, Mrs. Toledo. Are there any questions from the board?
So the classified job fair that you talked about, just wondering what kind of details you have about that, because typically, like what times are we going to have it? How are we going to market it so we get candidates to come to it? Just kind of some of the details, if you've got any of that.
Sure. We've had one meeting, and I have another meeting next week. We're currently working with Groveport, Whitehall, and Canal, Winchester. So the three districts. What we're doing right now is comparing classified salaries, what is their hiring process, what's our hiring process, so that we can come up with something that is consistent and easy for the person who walks in looking for a job. We are going to invite the Educational Service Center as well. All of our substitutes go through the Educational Service Center for teaching. So we're going to have them available there, but when we hire our classified, they have to get a permit, and that also goes through the Educational Service Center. So what we would like to have is computer and technology available so they can apply in the moment. We can also have interviews that day. Marketing is in the forefront as well. How are we going to market it? What does it look like? Where is it going to take place? So we are working out all of those details. We're just trying to get some consistency among all three districts so that we can better market to our clientele.
In regard to recruitment, you mentioned the 3 universities, Ohio State, Ohio University, and Capital. When there are recent graduates and perhaps there are no openings per se, are you encouraging them to substitute to get experience?
We are. What we actually have done, sometimes I have interviewed those who were graduating in December. Well, obviously we don't have openings in December at this time, so I've encouraged them to substitute with our district to at least get a feel for what our district is like. We've had 2 that I know for sure that took us up on that. Also with the interviewing, I have interviewing ongoing, and then I just kind of have it in a little hopper. So whenever there's a need, we can go to that location and find out who have we already interviewed, what is their licensure, and the needs, and where do they come from. So that kind of takes one step out of the way and saves us a little bit of time when we're ready to do that hiring. But some of them will and already are substituting. Some are substituting in other districts, which I said, that's great. Get your experience. So we encourage it, but.
That's great to hear.
I just want to tell you and say thank you to you and Superintendent Hunt. I think it's great. The word that comes to mind and what you're doing is just intentional, and everything that you're doing, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we will hear from the CWEA.
Is this where I'm supposed to go? Yeah. Okay, all right. I haven't been here since you rearranged things. Hi, I'm Cassie Dickinson. I am the librarian at Canal Winchester High School, and I'm representing CWEA tonight. Just a couple announcements from our members. First of all, Indian Trail is in the middle of the Kindness Challenge, which is a great opportunity that they give to our students. And then at the high school, we want to recognize Drew Dosh, who is being inducted into the Youngstown State Hall of Fame this weekend. He has a whole laundry list of accomplishments, but some of the highlights are that he was the first student athlete in YSU history to be a two-time second-team academic All-American before being selected as a junior in the 7th round of the 2013 MLB draft by the Baltimore Orioles. So we are very proud of him and want to recognize that accomplishment for him. And that's all I have for tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dickinson. Next up, we have the time that we set aside in our meeting to allow for public voice. Do we have any participants?
We do not.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hunt. We'll be moving right into executive reports. First up is our treasurer, Mr. Roberts.
Good evening. I'm going to be fairly quick. January is a quiet month. It's a very quiet computer tonight, too. Here we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, the only thing I really want to highlight tonight is the income tax we received the third quarter. It continued to be down. We've talked about this throughout the year on the potentials of why it's forecasted at this point to be down. Last year was just a really, really high year. We saw almost 15% growth. So if you look at the last 6 years that we have steady growth, and last year it would have bumped up. So even with this being a little bit down, if you take last year as an outlier, we would have still had a very, very steady growth up. So year over year, it's down, but I would say, oh, sorry. It was on. Supposedly it was on. So even with last year's an outlier, it's still been up. If you look at the prior year, I would expect this to rebound and get back to our normal trend next year. If you look at year over year, we're down $511,000 through the first 3 quarters of collections. We've got 1 quarter left. I would expect that to be real close to this 6.9, if not 6.8 on the forecast. Otherwise, the other items are trending to the plan, things I'm working on, negotiations, insurance things that are related to that, investment strategy. Been looking at what we can do to further our investments. During COVID, we got out a little bit in 3 to 5 windows. And some of those things are maturing next year, which were great rates at the time, but not so great rates right now. So at the time we got 0.9 when rates were 0. But now those are looking very bad in the portfolio. So it was looking at different options to see if we could maybe sell those early for longer term, getting back into the 4%. So those are some of the key things with negotiations, obviously controlling most of that planning. Interest earnings to this point, $1.6 million. As we've talked about, a lot of that's due to the project funds that we had set aside for the kindergarten edition and the bond proceeds. So it's kind of inflating this number. But general fund is up. If you look at the other revenues, general fund interest is up $213,000. So doing well to this point. We'll continue to analyze that. State income tax or state funding is up $1 million as we expected with the biennium change. on the way the formula was conducted. Expenditure-wise, we're tracking right to where we forecasted.
On the state funding, kind of their funding schedule, will that change next year again? Or will it stay where it's at?
The base cost will remain unchanged this year, so.
Okay.
They did the biennium for 2 years, and then
Yep.
they'll evaluate base costs in the next biennium.
Okay.
Good question. Kindergarten enrollment will help us. It's coming at a perfect time. When the formula is driven by educated students, we're bringing on potentially 200 educated students compared to what we're being funded at right now with half-day kindergarten. We have 212 kindergartners this year. We're being funded for 106 of those kindergartners. Next year, we're expecting 275 plus, probably closer to 300. So we're going to pick up quite a few educated students just through the kindergarten enrollment process, which will help drive state funding for us. Good question. Any other questions on the financials this month? Cash balance remains strong, $73.5 million. Long-term investing right now is about 51.3. Once we receive our property taxes next month, we'll probably get more aggressive with that long-term number and take advantage of the 4 to 5% rates that we're seeing right now to lock us up in that 3 to 5 window in case there would be some sort of reduction in interest rates. So trying to set our portfolio up to where we have kind of a static growth over the next 5 years and have the same interest earnings. So that's all I have tonight.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. We'll move on to our superintendent report. Mrs. Hunt?
Great, thank you. Good evening. I'm excited to share some news tonight about the development of a facilities master plan. A facilities master plan is a comprehensive planning process that strategically addresses facility needs of a district. Once developed, the plan will serve as a roadmap guiding the district in optimizing existing facilities and making informed decisions about new construction or renovations. The Canal Winchester Facilities Master Plan will take into account community input, recognizing the diverse perspectives of staff, students, parents, and other stakeholders. By engaging in a collaborative process with our stakeholders, the district will ensure that the facilities not only meet practical requirements, but also align with the community's values and aspirations. This inclusive approach fosters a sense of ownership and pride among our students, staff, parents, and community members, creating a shared vision for the future of Canal Winchester schools. In the upcoming months, we will actively involve the community, providing different ways for all stakeholders to share their thoughts and opinions. To kickstart this process, we'll be putting out a request for qualifications, or an RFQ, for facilities master planning and design services this week in hopes to be able to begin the process by mid to late March. Are there any questions about the facilities master plan? Okay. Next, I would like to just spend a few minutes talking about the April 8th solar eclipse. So many parts of Ohio are expected to be in the path of totality and will experience a total solar eclipse. Some of those areas are within 1 hour of Columbus, and we here in Columbus will experience a partial eclipse. The total solar eclipse is expected to begin around 3:08 p.m. Sharing some interesting facts about the solar eclipse. So the last total solar eclipse in Ohio was 1806, and the next one that will be seen from the United States is expected on August 23rd of 2044. A total solar eclipse is a rare and spectacular event. On average, one happens somewhere on Earth once every 1.5 years. However, only 21 total solar eclipses have crossed the lower 48 states in the entire existence of the United States. We can't normally see the corona, which is the sun's outer atmosphere, because the sun's surface below it is so much brighter. But during a total solar eclipse, the corona becomes visible, offering unique opportunities to study it. And when the moon completely blocks the visible surface of the sun during a total solar eclipse, viewers can remove their eclipse glasses. A total solar eclipse is the only type of solar eclipse where glasses can be temporarily removed. So originally, we made the decision to have a 2-hour early release on April the 8th. However, after much discussion, we've decided that it will be in our best interest to close school for the day. And we made this decision for a few reasons, but first and foremost is the safety of our students. Although we will only experience a partial eclipse here in the Columbus area, our youngest students may still be on the buses during the start of the eclipse. While the students are on the buses, we would have no way to ensure that they're not looking up at the sun. And I'm not sure about you all, but trying to tell a kindergarten, first, and second grade students not to look at the sun, the one thing that they will do is look at the sun. We would like to also allow our families and our staff the opportunity to participate in seeing the full eclipse. As I mentioned, it's rare and a pretty amazing event. The other piece of it is that traffic reports, we have heard that traffic will be extra busy with many traveling from all over to view the eclipse. So even though we're not in the area of totality, we are in the, with many highways that will get you to those areas. And so they are saying that traffic during that time will be pretty heavy, which could cause our buses to be later than we expect, which is why the students may still be on the bus. Another thing that we discussed is that we will be coming off of our spring break. So the week before, we will be out of school to then come back for a 2-hour early release. We just talked about that and thought that overall, that's probably not the best decision to make for our students and our staff. And recently, the Columbus Dispatch has, or I believe actually it was 10 TV, but they released an article and showed Central Ohio schools. The superintendents in Central Ohio talked back last year when we made the decision to go on a 2-hour delay. And at that time, most schools were either closing for professional development or they were going to go to school. There were a few of us that went the 2-hour early release. However, the majority of them have now closed. So just really keeping in mind not only, the safety of our students and our staff, but also just allowing our families to experience the event if they wanted to travel. Being right after spring break, we just feel like it's in our best interest to close for the day. And we are still at, hours for school, so we're not under hours. It doesn't put us at a risk there.
Is there any thought to getting and providing classes for the students so that they can experience it safely, even though they won't be in school that day?
Yeah, we can look into that. We can definitely look in and see if there's any places that have grants or something for it. Yep.
Said glasses, I know they're plastics, but.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yep. I'll look into that. So we'll make that announcement then tomorrow so families can plan for being off that day. Thank you. And then last, I just want to really quickly give a shout out to Mr. Brady Brennan, who, if anybody had the opportunity over the weekend to see the middle school musical Footloose, the students and Mr. Brennan did a phenomenal job. It was awesome to watch, pretty cool. I think that Monica, your daughter, was in it, and I did recognize her as soon as you pointed her out, but definitely an awesome experience, and to see the number of students that were involved and the number of hours they put in to prepare for that, it was really great, so.
And Mr. Twist's niece was involved.
Oh, awesome.
So I was there Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah, it was magnificent. Awesome job.
Yeah. Yep. So thank you.
Was that all you had for your report?
Yes, that is all.
I did have a question, and it's not related to what you just discussed, but it's actually allowing us to segue into our next portion of the meeting, which we're going to talk about district reports. I learned in the district report that we were seeing an increase in the number of preschool students attending, and there was an additional half-day classroom added. So that prompted me to ask you, where are our enrollment numbers standing now, per building and overall?
Overall enrollment, not specific just to preschool? Yeah.
Overall and preschool.
Okay, so overall enrollment is, on track where we are predicting through our forecast. So that, we don't envision that being an issue. Preschool is unique because we are required to service students if they are identified at 3. And so when we're notified of that, we have time to either evaluate or to get them in by the time they're 3 years old. And we can't guesstimate how many kids there will be when they come. And that has been something, move-ins, we've had quite a few move-ins that are coming to us already identified. So if they're already identified from other districts. We did recently add in, I believe it was right after the January break, Martin Luther King Day, we started the half-day classroom, added that. Is that correct? I see nods. But even since then, there have been more students coming in. So we manage that as best we can, trying to ensure that we're balancing out the classrooms as best we can for an AM, PM. It's something that we're definitely looking at when we look at preschool numbers, because it's one of those things that we can't predict. It really is. I will say, we talked about this today in our leadership meeting, that it is not just a Canal Winchester issue. A couple weeks ago, I had a meeting with the other Central Ohio superintendents, and that was brought up, that across the board, preschools are growing tremendously. Different districts, I think, Brooke, you mentioned 3 or 4 districts just this morning that have responded to a survey that's out there, that they're having to give up different classrooms to have an additional preschool classroom. So.
Which report was that in, Monica? Special education?
I believe it was special education. But it could have also been in the student services.
Yeah, I believe. Brooke, was that in your, I think that was in yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just
Yeah.
tie to COVID because we had COVID 3 years ago and these kids are just coming into preschool because they are at that age of the
Well-
COVID generation of kids?
No, well, our preschool is special needs preschool, and then, so really, it's our special needs students that drive that number. Our typical student, we do also have typical students that help to balance those numbers, but we would not add a classrooms for typical students. It would be specifically for the special needs students. So I'm not sure. I honestly don't believe it's tied to COVID. However, there are increases of the autism, I mean, I use the word label, but it's really the autism label that is growing in our preschool. We're seeing many more autistic students that are coming to us.
Can we get back to you on that? This is the number, I mean, it's not up. I wouldn't call that up. So I'd like to see what our numbers are through special education. So this would include typicals, I'm assuming, or is this just special education? Broke this 90? We'll look at that. We'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
154 is the total number for preschool. That includes years.
Okay.
Yeah, so the number that you have on that sheet, the 90, is specific to special needs students.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, all of
Yep.
the numbers on that sheet are the students with
So our
special needs.
typical population is way up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, like that's included in the 90 plus the typicals equals the 154.
Yeah. Yeah, but our typical population is not going to increase a classroom. We're not going to add a classroom based off of our typical.
Okay.
We'll
We'll
add
get
kids
that.
in to balance out our number, but we won't, and does that make sense? So our non-special ed students, will allow them to come in to be peer models for our students. And if we get to a number with that class, let's say there's certain guidelines on how many kids you can have in a classroom. So if it's 8 special needs kids, then we can take that number to 16 with typicals. And so we would never add a classroom for typical students, our peer models, but that's the number of special needs students and what would increase it.
Okay, and I did notice in the student services report that as of February the 5th, there were 144 students that left the district. But with the number of students who enrolled and have come to the district, it equaled a net gain of 137 students. So just wondering if you could give like a brief summary of like the reasons that they're saying that they're leaving the district.
When we have students who leave the district, our secretaries have to follow up with those families and the school districts where they land, and then code them according to what they do. Probably about 2/3 to 3/4 of the students who leave our district are going to another school district in Ohio. But we also have kids who are leaving the state. We even this year, I believe, have had 2 that left the United States. In other words, they went back to home countries. Actually, both were in Africa. But so it's a variety of reasons, but the overwhelming majority of them are going to another district in the state of Ohio.
Public district or private?
We have, I'm going on memory here, but I want to say we had around 7% going to a private school, but I'm not positive on that.
And that includes, those numbers aren't from the start of the school year, they're from summer, correct? Like,
I did that number on a range from August 16th to February 5th. So basically, that's this school year, but you always get, for example, a lot of kids that maybe enroll in Columbus Public. We don't find out about them until the first week of September. So it's probably a little bit of a mixture of summer and during the school year.
This is pretty typical. We pick this up through our enrollment modeling, and it's usually right around 120, 125 kids that we gain. And where we've been kind of holding stagnant is when we graduate 320 or 315 at senior level, and then we bring in a class of 215, 220. So the 120 that we gain through move-ins or new students coming into the district, we lose through graduating versus enrolling in kindergarten. So that's kind of what keeps us on a kind of a stagnant floor for enrollment. So that's kind of a normal trend for us to have that through different models of new housing and just new families moving into the district.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Anything else then?
No, thank
Okay.
you, Dr. I also wanted to send a sincere thanks to Mrs. Malia Anderson for doing the, leading the Polar Express Day for the preschool students. I saw those pictures and they were so beautiful. So I'm sure the kiddos really loved it. So I just wanted to shout out Mrs. Malia Anderson and her team. Were there any other district updates from the board?
Got a couple. Kaya, on the facilities master plan, I'm assuming we'll have board involvement as part of the input process for that?
absolutely.
Excellent. From the high school report, we had, they sent some pictures in for the winter signing day for athletes who signed on to move on to college athletics. In the past, we had a signing day ceremony for students who were enlisting in military service, but I don't think we've had one for a couple of years. Is that
We
something?
did that last year, so we'll continue it. It's in the
Okay.
spring.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that is something that will continue.
And then in the teaching and learning report, I saw we were adding fall sports officiating. Please add soccer to that curriculum. Yeah, I get it. Totally understand. And that was all I had.
Anyone else? I did have a couple more things. I didn't want to hog all the time. I just wanted to state February is Black History Month, And we recognize the accomplishments and contributions of African Americans within American history. And also, I wanted to recognize, according to the National Association of Pupil Transportation, we recognize February as Love the Bus Month. And I realize this is the first time the district has been celebrating that, recognizing that. And just to explain, it recognizes the influence and impact school buses have in American school culture. So I just wanted to also sincerely appreciate our transportation department and thank them for the important role that they play each and every school day for our students. Anything else from anyone? Next, we will move into our consent agenda. I just need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. Ms. Barnes? And Ms. Hunt?
Thank you. We'll get started on number 2. It's the minutes from the January 22nd meeting. Number 3, we do have several donations. Just want to highlight, we do have donations. If you recall, last month we set up a account for the Sal Moderer Scholarship Fund, and we have several additional scholarship donations that were made in her honor. So we want to thank the family for that. Moving on then, we have a donation to the high school track from Bexley Motor Car, Nicholas and Andrea Maxim, and then Heather Bogus to the Canal Winchester Middle School Media Center for the author visit. And I'm not sure if you guys had the opportunity, just a quick shout out for that. The author visit was phenomenal, and Miss Bogus did donate some of her own money, which she was honored and then knocked her socks off for. So thank you to those for those donations. Moving on to number 4, our certified personnel. We do have an extended unpaid leave of absence request, which will be for the remainder of this school year. And then we have 4 different teacher recommendations, which would be employed for starting in the 24-25 school year. As Cindy mentioned, we're trying to get ahead of the game here, and these hires are for our kindergarten additions, where we're adding additional staff to be able to facilitate the full day kindergarten. Number 5 is our classified personnel. We do have a retirement for Polly, and I can't say her last name, but Polly has been with us for many years, so we just want to wish her the best of luck as she moves towards retirement. We do have 2 leave of absence requests, and we are asking you to approve our classified recommendations. We do have a paraprofessional and a bus aide, and those both are this school year. So those both would have started on February 5th. Moving on then, also we have substitute classified recommendations for Tech Lights and Ole Speaks, a bus aide, and a sub-custodian. Number 6 is our supplemental personnel. As you notice, there are quite a few. Those positions are all for our spring athletics, followed by our volunteers for spring athletics, and then we have stipends as well for spring athletics. And lastly, number 7 is our early graduation request. We have 2 students who are requesting early graduation.
Are there any questions? Further discussion? Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mrs. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we will go into our action items. The first action item, I'll make a motion. I move to approve the employment of Max Lawathan as Director of Student Services on a 3-year contract, administrator salary schedule.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
All right, thank you. I'm excited to recommend Max Lawathan to serve as the Director of Student Services. Max has served as the principal at Winchester Trail Elementary since 2019. Prior to serving in that role, Max served in various other positions as an assistant principal at both Madison Plains and Reynoldsburg, and as an interim principal at Licking Heights West Elementary. Max began his career in education in 2005 as a second grade teacher. Max holds a bachelor's degree in early childhood education and a master's degree in education administration. He completed his superintendent's license from Miami University last spring. Max's unwavering commitment to school and student safety and his passion for Canal Winchester schools makes him an ideal choice for this position, which oversees our safety and security. With 5 years in the district, Mr. Lolithan will be able to hit the ground running to ensure we keep students and staff safely at the forefront on everything that we do at Canal Winchester Schools.
Awesome. I just want to say, I think Mr. Lolithan is very deserving of this opportunity. And I can't think of a better student success advocate to fulfill this role in August.
And I would just like to back her up with that. We are really blessed to have such a spectacular person on our staff, and I've actually been out in the community and seen him in action, just running through the woods trying to get a kid before. And I was like, is that Mr. Max? So I'm just really proud to be able to second his appointment to this position, and I know that he's going to do a fantastic job, so thank you.
Yes.
I'd just like to piggyback on that. You've got big shoes to fill, but I know you'll do a good job, and good luck to you, Dr. Bruning, and in your retirement.
Yes, good luck.
I have a quick question. How many applicants did we get for the position, and how many people did we interview?
Absolutely. Cindy, can you come up and answer that? I know we had, I want to say 18 or 19 applicants, but.
We had 18 applicants. We had 9 first interviews. We had 3 second interviews and 2 final interviews.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. Next, I need a motion to approve the resolution accepting the amended amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor for fiscal year 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Mr. George and Ms. Green?
This is a routine item. In January, the board approved the tax budget. We file that with the county auditor, and then they take that to the Budget Commission, and they set the rates and amounts, and then they ask the board to approve that and get back to them. So this is either February, March, April, depends on when the Budget Commission meets, but it's just setting the rates for the fiscal year 24.
All right. Any discussion? If none, Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
I thought you said Mr. I'll let that one slide. Motion has carried. Next. Next, I move to appoint Ms. Chloe Green to serve as the Student Achievement Liaison for 2024.
Second.
I'm pleased to recommend Ms. Green to serve as our district's first Student Achievement Liaison. In this role, the liaison works between the school board and the Ohio School Board Association Student Achievement Leadership Team to promote student achievement within the district, to share information about ways to improve student success, and to be an advocate for helping to keep student achievement at the forefront of board action. Mr. Roberts, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Talley?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Green? Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Do we have any discussion items the board would like to bring to the table? All right, hearing none.
The two
Go ahead.
additional items that we wanted to add to the agenda, a report with CWJRD and a report from our business community. What have we decided to do with those two items? How will we report back to the community how we are representing as school board members on those particular committees?
Didn't we talk about including those as part of our district reports, either on a monthly or maybe a quarterly basis? I thought we had talked about that.
We did, and I believe it's up to the individual board member who serve in the committee to just report out during our district reports if there are any updates.
So Angie, I think it makes sense maybe for the Business Advisory Council when we hold the business, because that's a quarterly, well, it has been quarterly. I think we're still trying to feel out what the new BAC is going to look like, but maybe maybe I could write up a report for that after the meetings, run it by you to make sure it's right, and then in the next meeting, we could include that as part of the district reports. What do you think?
What I would like to see is an agenda item. I think it kind of triggers us and reminds us that it's something that needs to be reported out at the meeting. And if there's nothing to be reported, it's just it would be just like a line item on our agenda as all the rest of these things are, so that, we don't forget that it's something that needs to be addressed. And then when we see the agenda, yeah, I didn't get that into her, and we know, because we're getting our agendas earlier, and we're able to make any updates to the agenda before it comes out on the Friday before. So I would really like to see it as a bullet item on the agenda to hold a space for it, so that we know that it needs to be addressed, and maybe even put on there, CWJRD monthly on third Wednesday or whatever date it is, so that everybody's not expecting to see it at every meeting, but they know that it's going to come out when it does come out.
That makes sense, I guess. I mean, we're not going to be taking any action, so I guess we could just include it under discussion items as a regular, like, discussion items, A, CWJRD, and B, BAC.
That sounds good. Sounds
I
like a
agree.
Good way.
I think that's very reasonable. We'll add that under discussion items for committee report. Next.
But can I
Okay.
clarify?
Sure.
Are we doing it board committee discussions as one, or am I listing out each board committee under discussion? Can I do discussion item 1, board committee?
Yes, listing
Are you
them
guys good
out.
with that? List them each
Yeah.
out.
So that would be more clear. Any other comments, discussion?
With this third one, would we need to report out on
Yeah, I
this
was just going to
as well?
say, do we want to add the student achievement?
Yeah. Definitely.
We'll just have 3 placeholders, and at the meeting, you guys can say nothing to report on, or
All right.
report out.
Sounds good. Next, we will have a need for executive session. So I need a motion to enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
So moved.
I second it. This concludes our meeting. We will reconvene to open and to adjourn the meeting. In executive session, we won't make any decisions. This is only going to be discussion only. So at this time, you are dismissed, and thank you for joining us this evening, and continue to empower all of our students for success. Thank you.